Hey, my name is David Epstein. I teach contracts and other stuff at the University of Richmond Law School. And I'm pleased to have this opportunity to talk with you about Contracts Casebook, Making and Doing Deals, that I've co-authored with Bruce Markell and Larry Ponoroff. We wrote the casebook because the three of us believe that the key to success in teaching contracts is more what happens before class than what's happening in class. With all due respect to all of you professors who are watching this, I'm sure you're great teachers. But I think it doesn't really matter how great a teacher you are. What happens in the classroom, particularly the learning experience to the students in the classroom, depends in substantial part on what the students have done before class. And so in writing this book, Bruce and Larry and I set out to come up with a set of materials that students would actually read critically, think about, and talk about before class. Because where that's happened before class, then what can happen in class is going to be so much more exciting and rewarding for both the students and for you. Every good teacher teaches his or her course different each time you teach it. Even if you're teaching contracts 15, 20 years, or my situation more than 30 years. I like to think that every time my course is somewhat different. I've had new ideas that I think will make the material more understandable to my students. The same thing happens when you're doing teaching materials or case books. You get new ideas every time you teach. This third edition reflects some of the ideas that Bruce and Larry and I have gained from teaching this book through the years at various law schools and the comments of the other people that have used them. For example, one of the things that we've done this time that I'm particularly pleased with, has worked real well, is after the cases, we not only have the traditional questions and notes, but we've added a new heading called Connections, in which we ask students about the relationship between what they're reading now, what they may have read a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. I've enjoyed being a lawyer. I've practiced several different times in my life, right out of law school. I was a baby lawyer for a medium-sized firm in Phoenix. And then sort of mid-career, I got out of teaching, deaning for about 10 years, and was a partner in a large Atlanta law firm. Enjoyed both experiences. Obviously, it was a lot more fun being a partner in a law firm than being an associate, but all of that was enjoyable. But none of it was as enjoyable or as rewarding as being a teacher. And being a teacher, I guess, is something that I've always wanted to do. What inspired me to be a teacher was my father. My father was not a teacher by profession. He was a doctor. Both my parents were European immigrants, and English, depending on how you count things, was my father's fourth or fifth language. But my father was just a gifted teacher. He was just a gifted teacher. In our house, it was my father that did the homework with me and with my sisters. And comparing my father's teaching methods and my father's teaching skills with what my friends were getting from their mothers and fathers made me more fully appreciate, I guess, how fortunate I was. But I think that's what inspired me to be a teacher, that my father was so good at it. And as I think back over what I've done in the classroom, what I do in the various books that I've written for West, I think there's an awful lot of what my father did, and I would like to think that he'd be proud.